game of basketball has taken us places we can never imagine. For winning 4 EuroLeague titles,
playing 6 years in 5 countries,
and making connections with people from all around the world.
we have stories that can last a lifetime. Now it's time to tell yours.
When I met Michael Jordan for the first time, and still to this day, if I see him, he's glowing.
It just came down to, like I said, looking myself in the mirror like, brother, do you want to play ball or not?
I've never been in an environment like EuroLeague.
Because, living over here in Europe, bro, we kings over this joint, bro.
Right.
Denver Nuggets.
Appreciate y'all having us on here.
Yes, sir, man. Big time. This is really dope.
This is Hoop Tales.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Hoop Tales. Today, I got a really, really special guest. This guy, he's done a lot in his career, both on and off the basketball court. We just kind of talk about it a little bit. He's accomplished a lot. Kings Cup winner, Couple de Ray, EuroCup MVP, and so on and so on. I just want to introduce, one of my good friends, one of the best teammates, and everybody said that. Everybody that we ever talked to always talks about how great of a teammate this guy is. Dontaye Draper. Dontaye, what's good, man?
What's up, bro?
What's up, bro?
Happy to be on, man. I'm glad to see y'all doing something positive, man. It's dope.
Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. Now we gonna jump right into it, bro. Like, with this whole COVID situation, anybody that follows you on Instagram, anybody knows you be all over. So,
Right.
How is this affecting you? Because this probably, like you said, it's the first time that you've been sitting down in one spot probably for a minute. Usually, one day you in Ibiza, one day you in Monaco, one day you in Madrid, one day you in LA, one day you here. So, how's it been for you just to kind of just be on ice for a minute?
No, to be honest, I'm kind of used to this, the whole we playing ball overseas. So I'm kind of used to it, except for waking up and going to practice. I'm usually home, but the big thing, the restaurants and my nightlife. But other than that, it's been cool, man. I got a chance to spend time in Miami. I had a house there I bought in 2010, so that was the first time I actually was there, hanging out there. So that was cool. But besides that, I'm cool, man. It reminds me when I'm playing overseas. I'm in a house 80-90% of the day anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it allowed this time, but it allowed me to read a little bit more, but more audio books.
Yeah.
Learn about different things in life.
Yeah, I see you've been like I said, on your Instagram, you've been doing a little bit of everything. You've been cooking, you've been, doing a little handiwork. What things have you kind of picked up?
Yeah, literally I never done none of that stuff. I never cooked, I never do nothing. I always ate out. So when I was in Miami, I was about to call the clean lady to come clean up. So I'm like, man, I'm going to just do it myself. I put some music on. It started like that. I put some music on, and I just basically cleaned up everything. And then the next day, let me tell you the craziest thing, how the internet worked. I'm on my Instagram, and I was looking for light bulbs, Google on my computer. So next day I scroll on my Instagram, all these advertisement stuff showing up. I downloaded Amazon for the first time. I never had Amazon.
Word?
So I downloaded Amazon and I just went ham. Basically, out of my whole house, my kids. So it became like that. I YouTube. I YouTube everything. You can find everything.
True. Definitely. Find everything on YouTube.
For sure.
Now get into the beginning, man. So we talked to Malcolm Delaney a little while ago. And he touched on Baltimore, and we know how much, and me knowing you personally know how much, near and dear Baltimore is to you. But, talk about growing up in Baltimore and internationally, everybody talks about it as the Wire. But, talk about your childhood growing up amongst the poverty, the drugs, the crime, and all that stuff. Talk about that.
For sure. So I grew up in West Baltimore, actually, like like The Wire, that's about where I'm from, like my housing projects, Lexington Terrace housing projects. So basically, I grew up there all my life till I was about 12, and what's crazy is I never even used to go around the city because in our projects, it was huge.
Yeah.
Had our own elementary school, our own rec center, our own stores, our own everything. I think it was like 18 acres or something like that. We had 12-story buildings and other low rises. So I had everything there. I didn't even know much about East Baltimore, other parts of West Baltimore. I just knew Lexington Terrace projects. So growing up in the projects, we just played sports every day because there was so many kids.
Mm-hmm.
While all the crime and poverty going on, you don't really know it because that's what I see every day. You know what I'm saying? So we had a scale. You go to school. When school let out, you go to the rec center. No, you go home, drop your books off, take your homework to the rec center, and then from there, you at the rec center from 3 to 7:30. So in the rec center, you got to take your homework, you play pool, you do all the stuff in the rec, and then you play sports. So every season was a different sport. So it was football, basketball, baseball, and we just played seasonally. So the craziest thing was I never had the dream of go to the NBA or none of that. I just played sports when it was time for us to play sports. Football season, we played football. Basketball season, we played basketball. But I was always good at each sport. You know what I'm saying? I was always good at each sport, but that was just something that we did. Mm-hmm. And crime was every day. Literally one of my, the building, I grew up on the Saratoga Street side. So the Saratoga Street building, that's the building that we grew up in. But we moved outside of that building into a low rise. But I still had family members in that Saratoga Street building. Mm-hmm. And I remember going into the building, as soon as you go up in the staircase, you just see needles, people getting high. I hated Saratoga Street building. I used to be in Lexington Street building, but I hated Saratoga Street. But it was normal, though. You know what I'm saying?
You see it every day.
When you see it every day, you don't really think nothing of it. Even in the summer, I remember literally, every summer, every day of the summer, it probably was a shooting. But we'd run, literally, we'd play, we'd run from the shooting, go in, come right back out. It was nothing. So that was, basically, that growing up. You could Google Lexington Terrace projects. It was one of the worst. You know what I'm saying? But when you're growing up in it, you don't really know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Me, it was just I was just playing sports, doing all the bad shit here and there. But most of the time, we was playing sports. You know what I'm saying? We was playing flag football, basketball, baseball. So we just had our own rec leagues. So I was always busy, and I never watched the NBA. Which is crazy. Growing up back, I didn't pay attention to it. I didn't have that childhood dream, with the posters on my wall. I want to go to the NBA. No, that wasn't my childhood. We just played. I was good, but we just played it.
It just basically kind of happened organically for you,
it happened organically, man. It happened organically, and when I was 12 or 13. They started moving, so they started moving people out the projects because they was blowing it up, demolition. So once they start moving people out, I start to see other parts of the city. So we moved out of there in the 7th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. We moved to another project further in West Baltimore. So when we moved up there, then I started meeting new people, start seeing new things. And then I still was just a street ball, playing in street ball basketball. Mm-hmm. And then from there, around 7th grade, we went to another neighborhood that had a project too. But this time my grandmother had a house, mm-hmm. 2 streets away from another housing project. So from there, just still doing bad things, Football was my sport. So when I got to there, everybody knew me from football. So basically, like every day, house, football, projects. And it was fun, man. Like running them projects is fun because you got stuff to do every day. Like I go outside, we plan every day. Like I wasn't in the house like on video games. We was outside running the streets, having fun.
So when did you like stick to just basketball? I know you played a lot of sports coming up. When did you kind of flip that switch and say it's basketball only? And then talk about some of the players that you played against coming up in Baltimore.
Right. So when I really got focused on basketball was 8th grade, 9th grade year. My mother is kind of a long story, but my mother moved out. She moved in the county, like in the suburbs of Baltimore with her boyfriend. So that year, she was like, stop staying with your grandmother, come out and live with me for a little bit. But she was always taking care of me because my mother worked from like 3 p.m. to 12 a.m. At the post office. So she was like, yo, come out, stay with me this year, go to school in the county for your 8th grade, and just come out here. So I went out to the county for my 8th grade year, and every day I was going to school, and then at like 2 p.m., she had to pick me up and take me all the way back in the city in the projects until she get off work. So like middle of the year, I was failing. I was falling asleep in class. I was failing. So she was like, my next door neighbor, like they had a son too around my age. He was like, see if you can stay out here for 2 days out the week and they'll watch you. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll watch you and then you just go in the house. And they said, yeah. So when I was out there, I started liking it. Again, it was suburbs, more people, more different type of fun. So he was like, yo, come to try out with me. So I went to this one tryout, and I was just killing it. It was a bunch of county kids, and I just killed it. And then I got picked up for that team. So, like, the third game into that team, one referee had seen me play and was like, yo, like, where you from? And I'm like, I'm from the city. He's like, I could tell something was different. He was like, do you mind playing for, you ever heard of AAU basketball? And at this time, I'm like, 13. I ain't play AAU or nothing. He was like, I want you to come down and try out in the city for our team. So I was like, cool. Went to try out in the city on East Baltimore, though. I'm from West Baltimore, so this was an East Baltimore situation.
What team was it?
Cecil Kirk.
Cecil Kirk, right? Yeah, we played against them. Yeah, that was what we played with Rudy team.
Yep. They are. I'm gonna get to that. So, so I went to go try out, and here come. And now at this point here, my coach, he'd take on the duties of like once I like practice, he'd take me back home. So I made the team, and then that's when I was on the same team as like Rudy Gay, Jack McClinton, Josh Boone. You know, they was on a younger team, like 1 year younger than me. So fast forward to the end of the year, and my mother breaks up with her boyfriend. Boom. So we go back to the city. So when we go back to the city, I'm a West Baltimore guy, playing the East Baltimore team. First time, like, organized like basketball. You know what I'm saying? But it was all love. And then once I started playing AAU, then I started meeting new people in the city. You know what I'm saying? I started meeting new people. I started like interacting more with basketball, start watching it, and I started paying attention. So around like 13, 14, I started like really like paying attention, but I still didn't take it seriously until maybe like my 10th grade year. Then I was like, okay, basketball is going to be my sport. And then that whole process was crazy because I never really paid that much attention. I never knew how nice guys was because I was just used to house league, we go play this team, and I ain't never really play AAU. So at that time, I started really like paying attention and taking my toes, working out, and just focusing on basketball. And then as I got older, and then like, cause I always knew like other guys in the city, Then I started hanging out with Melo, my other homeboy, Tyler Smith, all hoopers. But I already knew Melo and those guys because they was from, like, the projects near mine. So we knew each other through football, but we just didn't hang out.
Yeah.
So we always knew each other, but we just didn't hang out. And then from, like, 11th, 12th grade, then it was I really tapped in. Because that's when me and Melo started hanging out, me and Tyler, and all those guys was the best guys in the city.
So they basically turned you into a hooper, basically. Like,
Yeah.
Hanging around them.
But I was always good, but I just, like, took it. I started being around it more, you know what I'm saying? And those guys, like, nice. You know what I'm saying? They was playing. So once I started being around them, we started going out, we started partying. Like, every weekend, we'd always be together, and then things just went from there.
That's dope. That's dope. I know you talked about, your high school career and all that. You said you started taking the game serious your 10th grade year. But let's talk about, like, your whole entire, recruiting process. When you started, getting looks at different colleges and people started, you started getting that attention.
Well, honestly, I never really got that much attention. I was, like, the worst player of my crew. Not the worst, but I wasn't the best at that time.
Right.
I was just fast, I can dribble, and I knew how to run a team, and I played D. So I ain't never really had that big of recruiting. I was on JV until 11th grade. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't never really have, like, no big recruiting. But that year, when we went to Florida, we had Rudy, and they was younger. Like, my second, I think it was like 16, 17, 9. We was trash that year. So our coach was like, yo, we bringing the young guys with you. And I was happy. Because I was cool with all those guys. And they had a squad. They was like one of the best 16-9ers in the city. It was Josh Boone, Jack McClinton, Rudy Gay, kid Tavon Nelson. They had a mob. Like, they all went to Florida with us. And I remember it was like it was yesterday, man. Rudy, because Rudy he from Baltimore, he a little bit out. But when Rudy came, he came and put on a show. We went to Florida, and Rudy went off. That was like his coming out party. He was, like, only, like, in the 10th grade, 9th or 10th grade. And when we went down there, everybody started coming to see Rudy. Everybody started coming to see Josh. And then next thing you know, all the smaller, like, mid-major schools, they start hitting me up. And then after that summer, I had College of Charleston. What's the school in Pittsburgh? Robbie Moore's and Siena. So there was the 3 schools that was, like, kept hitting me up. And then, like, my 12th grade year still was the same. And my coach was like, yo, go to prep school for 1 year because I ain't had the grades to prep school. So he was like, go to prep school for 1 year, and then we see where it go. And then I left that, and then when I went to prep school, that was another stage in my life. Then I became good. Yeah. Because that was the first time I was away from Baltimore. So when I went up to prep school, all my other guys that I played AAU with, they all went to prep school too, but they all went to the prep schools that was like top 10 in the country for basketball. You know what I'm saying? So I went to, Coach put me at a real live prep school, upstate New York. We went to school 6 days a week, shirt, tie, blazer every day.
Where at upstate though? Where at?
All in New York.
Okay.
One of the richest schools in New York.
Yeah.
That first year, they had got a new coach, and the coach started to. I think he had scholarship money, and he was trying to bring the basketball up. So I goes up there. That's my first time around white people. First time, you know what I'm saying? So I don't really, and I'm already like somewhat quiet, so I'm like alone. But every morning I had the key to the gym because we stayed in a big campus. So literally I just used to go to the gym for an hour and a half before we had to eat breakfast and do form shooting for like an hour. You know what I'm saying? Because my shot was behind my head, so I couldn't shoot what I had to do. So I was doing that every morning. Every morning, I wasn't taking no jump shots. So literally, like 1 month in, I was like, okay, let me see where I'm at. The next thing you know, my shots start coming here. So I got a little bit more confident. In that year, I wasn't making shots, but I was like getting the confidence that I could shoot now. Like it felt comfortable. And I remember like the first week when schools got to come out, we had Dontaye Milligan. You know Dontaye Milligan?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Dontaye had a lot of big schools coming up there, like Pittsburgh, UMass, like everybody. So I used to bust ass like in those pickup games. I used to go nuts because I had the confidence now that I could shoot. And I remember like College of Charleston was still, all those schools were still recruiting. But then UMass that came and started talking to me like, yo, like UMass and Fordham was like, what you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? They start like talking more. And I was kind of like leaning towards that, you know, like a bigger school, still like being a major school. So I was like kind of going with the process. And then like the College of Charleston coach flew up there like the next week. And he kind of knew, knew something was going on. He flew up there the next week, seen us play pickup, and then he put the pressure on me like, yo, like, you got to sign. It was 2 signing periods. And UMass came, Fordham. I think it was another mid-major, beginning with a D, I can't remember. But they was like, yo, like, if you can hold out to the next signing period, done. UMass was like, done deal, like if you hold out. So College of Charleston came up there, and they was the ones that was showing love from day one. So coach came up there and was like, yo, this is what you got to do. We need to get you on campus. You need to take a visit. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm like, cool. And then at prep school, we was doing anything to get off campus.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because we went to school 6 days a week. So Wednesdays and Saturdays was half a days. That was like the sports day. So I took the visit to College of Charleston. And I was like blown away. Like after the second day, I was like, dang, I'm coming here. But then I took still 3 other visits. I took Robert Morris. Because you know? So I locked that up with College of Charleston, you know, because they was the ones from day one, the coach, like, actually, like, seeing where I can be or what I can do. Like, he knew that I was just getting into, like, basketball, you know. So that's why I went to the College of Charleston.
Talk about, like, your adjustment. Like you said, I mean, you went to the prep school, but talk about, like Charleston is definitely not Baltimore. So, you know, talk about, like, you like that adjustment. You know, going to Charleston for the first time, going down south for the first time, like, you know, going to South Carolina. Like, what was that whole experience like initially for you?
That prep school prepared me for everything that I went through in life, even to this day. You know what I'm saying? Because that was the first time I was around white people. You know what I'm saying? And I remember being in my dorm room for like every night. Like at the study hall, I just closed my door and I was alone. You know, I'm used to being alone. So one day, this Italian kid came down, knocked on my door and was like, yo, like, my name's such and such. We watching a movie up in my room. You know, like, if you want to come up, come up. He was like, we got some, we took some alcohol from the town. You know, prep school is like the movie. Like, so he was like, we're going to watch The Ring tonight, come up. So I'm like, I ain't got shit to do. Went to the room, it's like 6 of us in there. And that night changed my whole life, bro, because I'm like, damn, these motherfuckers cool. Because coming from the projects in Baltimore, it's like kind of like taught that bad, that race is bad. So it's like, once I was in that room, we got the drinking, And these guys was crazy, man. Like, talking, like 1 a.m, we still in there. At this time, we like, I think 16, drunk. And then I'm gonna just say, just like the movies, like with all that haze and stuff and all that, that's real. That shit is real. Cause that night, those guys went out, did some wild shit. So after that night, I remember like it was yesterday, I called my mother, because we ain't had no cell phones up there. We had like one phone for the whole entire floor. You know what I'm saying? We ain't had no cell phones. So in this dorm, we had no TVs, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? No cell phones. And I remember calling my mother the next day, like, Ma, you know, like white people, like they actually cool. You know what I'm saying? Like they actually. So I started vibing. Like every day, I had my little clique. Outside my basketball crew, I had my whole other crew that was in my dorm. So that like literally like helped me for life. You know what I'm saying? Being around that every day. You know, because all those kids was like, once I found out, they all was like rich kids. I didn't know that. Like in prep, I ain't never really asked questions, but all those kids was rich. And still to this day, I'm friends with some of them, and they all like billionaires, families. Mm-hmm. At that time, I didn't know that, and I didn't really care. I didn't really judge, you know, nobody. I was just being cool with them because they was nice to me. So fast forward that to college, it was the same shit. Same shit. Like as soon as I step on campus, meet people, and then it's just like people just want to hang around. So I ain't disrespectful to no one. You know what I'm saying? I'm a greet you how you greet me, and we stay cool. And if we vibe together, then we stay friends for longer. So that's how I went about college. As a freshman, it was crazy. As a freshman, I ain't really like get to like partying and then like messing with girls, none of that. Like I wanted to my freshman year, you know what I'm saying? But my roommate was killing me, like killing me. As soon as we started meeting her, because we went to a summer program, so you go in the summer, like all the black students, it's called Spectrum. So you go in the summer, you meet all the people that you're gonna meet during the year. So as soon as like the first 2 weeks of school, we meeting everybody, we going to all these different parties. My roommate, nigga get a girlfriend. 2 weeks in, he get a girlfriend. So I don't really know too many other people. And the 3 people that I came in my class with, 3 freshmen, one was a white boy, me and Jabari. So me and him, we had plans going to this party, this party. Once he got a girlfriend, everything was over. It was over. So I wasn't gonna go out, but I wasn't gonna go out by myself. You know what I'm saying? So that year was it was fun, but it was also like, come on, man. But then I also met a lot of upperclassmen that I was hanging out with. So that was cool. So yeah, so my college approach was kind of like easy because I went through it already from the year before. You know what I'm saying? In prep school. So that prep school year prepared me for everything. And then college was some of the best years of my life.
Let's talk about, you know, on the court. You know, what was it like playing college, Division I ball? And talk about some of the battles playing in SoCon against like UNCG or Davidson.
Yeah, man. So the SoCon I loved it, man, because coming in as a freshman, you know, coach told me I was going to play. But my job as a freshman year, I was like, and I'm going to fast forward this to like Real Madrid, it kind of was like the same, you know what I'm saying? I had to come in, play defense, change the rhythm of the game, change the tempo of the game, and I had the freedom. Coach always gave me the freedom, but my job for that team for my freshman year was like defense, do my job. When I come in the game, I want the score to be higher than what it was. You know what I'm saying? So that was my role. And then every year I just got better, man. Being with Melo, that changed. He done a lot for me in my life, you know what I'm saying? But being with him throughout every year, every offseason, I just completely got better. Like it was like a night and day from the 2 years. So after that, after my freshman year, I just had to go in and just guard the best guys. And I remember my toughest task was Timmy Smith.
East Tennessee State.
From the East Tennessee State.
Yeah.
So he was lighting everybody up. Like even like schools in the tournament. And I remember Coach started me that game. Freshman. He was like, yo, guard this motherfucker. And our coach used to talk mad shit, Tom Harrigan. So, and I used to, like growing up in Baltimore, I was like, I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? So I remember that game. I was just watching him. And he never went right that much. And if he went right, he always came back. So if he ain't really have like the irky jerky, he was just so fast, change pace and running. So I was just sitting on this right hand, like keeping my elbow. And then after the game, we like won. And I was like, this the best player, you know, like this the best player in the league, you know, but all confidence, no disrespect to him because he was killing everybody.
Yeah.
Just like when I was guarding him, he couldn't really do the things that he could do. So after that, I was like, okay. But I'm going to do this, but I don't want to be this player for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be just like a defensive player for my 4 years. So every year when I left, I go straight to Melo crib in Denver. So as soon as I get to Denver, we working out from that day. From that day to the end of the summer, sometime twice a day. And then when I come back to school, I just had big confidence.
Yeah.
Like big confidence. You know what I'm saying? So I come back. So my freshman year, I think I averaged like 3 points a game. My sophomore year, I came back, and I was supposed to be a starting point guard that year, but coach fucked me over. And he was like, it was another shooting guard named Tony Mitchell. He was small, like 6. He was like 6 feet, but Tony could shoot the lights out. You know, you remember you played against Tony or no?
Yeah, I played Tony. Yeah.
Yeah, Tony could shoot the lights out, but he's not a pure point guard. So coach was like, I don't want to start both of y'all too small. I'm going to start Drew Hall. So Drew is my man. Drew transferred from Georgetown. And he sat out for a whole year. So I'm like, oh, man. So I'm already pissed. Like, I'm pissed. You know what I'm saying? Because I wanted to start. So that year, that was the only year I played in my life. I played with a chip on my shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went in and like, fuck it. I'm going to be so. Like, if I come in the game, as long as I do my job and I'm a scorer, I'm happy with it. And that year, I averaged 12.8. And then that summer, another part of my life, everything changed. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think Melo and all those guys had to train for the Olympics. So as soon as that happened, we was in D.C., like, working out twice a day for, like, a week. And then he left. And then we was just working out crazy all summer. And then I came back to school. Like, it was a wrap. Like, Tony, that's when CP, I think that's when Chris Paul was coming out. So I was working out against Chris Paul, Justin Gray, like all these guys in D.C. And again, mentality, Kyle, you know, like coming out of school. I'm like, damn, I see these guys on TV. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm actually facing these guys one-on-one and all that, I can hold my own. And I was actually winning some games. So my junior year, I came back, and I was just, like, killing everybody in the summer. And my coach brought me in, was like, yo, this year I want you to play the 2. So I kind of was like, nah. You know, I want the ball in my hand. This is the first time I'm going to be starting. I want the ball. And he was like, well, Drew, you and Drew going to be in the backcourt. Both of y'all got the green light. So he was like, you both got the green light, so it don't matter if you bring it up. So I'm like, cool. And that year, I killed everybody in the SoCon that year. I think I averaged like 18.6, and I was getting like boxing ones. But I just, I just adjusted because if I'm going to play the 2, I'm just going to watch how shooting guards work. But the hardest thing about playing the 2 was defending. I couldn't defend 2s because I hated off screens. I hated, like, a lot of times I used to get caught back door, sleeping. You know what I'm saying? You know how you got to watch the whole court? There's a big difference guarding a point guard and guarding a shooting guard. Point guard, you kind of can relax a little bit. You know, they running the team. But a 2 guard, he's all over the place. So that year, it was fun. And then after that, it got getting better.
I just remember like y'all niggas. I seen the pictures you put up a couple of days ago. Like y'all had y'all team was really like the goon squad. Like niggas like teams in SoCon was scared of y'all. Like y'all niggas y'all had all the JUCO transfers. Y'all had all y'all team was like literally like I don't even want to say the wrong way, but it was like y'all niggas like straight goons. Everybody had cornrows. Everybody had tattoos. Everybody was like older. So I remember like we pulled up. I remember the first year we played, y'all had the what's the old dude? Jackson.
Yeah,
Here's the dread. He was like 29 years old. I'm like, yo, this dude, I'm 18. I'm like, this dude's a grown man. I'm like, but y'all had somebody like y'all team was like that every year, bro. It was like y'all had like straight goons. I was like, yo, this is
because our coach was crazy. So he used to recruit the guys that didn't get like the bigger jobs because of whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? So they all come to our school. I ain't gonna never forget this shit in my life. So we go play UNCG. And at this time, it's 2 sides to the conference. So I don't even know what's going on over there on that side with UNCG, Kyle Hines. I wasn't really paying attention. I'm just thinking about our side of the conference. So we go over there, and I think I had the first game, I had like 28 or something.
The first game you smacked us, I think. One of those games y'all smacked us.
Yeah, we came back. So we goes back, I think the next year, and we going through the scout report. We just see Kyle, like, Lord center. So that whole time, we going to Charlotte, we had Josh Jackson and Jermaine Johnson. So Josh is doing like, that's when like all these dances in Atlanta. So we in shoot around that morning, and these niggas is clowning all day. You know, when they call your name out, like number 4, Josh Jackson. So he's doing all that. Man, Kyle came out and had maybe like something crazy stat line, like crazy. And I remember the coach in the locker room, yeah, fucking Kyle Hines. We had to watch the like we had a loss like that. We had to watch it on a bus. So he was like, yeah, Kyle Hines, all this dancing. Layup, give me that shit. You had blocked David Lawrence. Dave had like a wide open layup. You remember this? You had blocked the shot. He kept looking back, man. And that coach was crazy. And that's when I knew, like, damn. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really pay attention what's going on over there. I'm looking, and then I started looking at this nigga's stats. I'm like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same like my senior season. I'm thinking I'm running away with the MVP.
I stole that joke from you.
I'm thinking I'm running away with the MVP. Next thing I know, I look over there, I'm like, looking at his numbers, like, I wasn't mad, but I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, SoCon was like that. We had so many, like, talented players, and it just wasn't a matter of fact, like the bigger or the smaller school was just at that time. Like it was like what they call the NBA, like eye test. We don't fit the eye test of the bigger conference. It's true. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm 5'11", Kyle 6. You know, we just don't fit the eye test. But if you give everybody like that fair opportunity, we're gonna ball out. And I remember my senior year. Did y'all make the tournament my senior year?
Nah, because Steph. That's why.
Going to that. So my senior year, listen, so my senior year, Bobby Crimmins came. And Bobby, my best coach I ever had in my life, dude. Like, you talking about, like, people's person, team player. Bobby came, threw me the keys, changed the offense, whatever I needed. And that year, we had DJ Thompson. I'm going to get back to that. DJ, Kyle, and Steph was a freshman, but Steph was kind of up and down. He was just running and shooting.
Shooting, bro. Just shooting. That's all Steph did was just shoot, bro. Shoot and turn over the ball. That was it.
I remember us playing against Appalachian State, and then like the first week of the season, I was kind of like struggling because I was coming off playing the 2, and I moved back to the point. So I was kind of struggling to score, pass, get people the ball. It was really hard because I was thinking too much. And we struggled because it'd be like some games I pass for like 5 straight possessions. I was like predetermined on how I'm gonna play, and that was totally wrong. And then coach called me in one day and was like, "Yo, I got a system for you. You know, I had this in Georgia Tech with Kenny Anderson and all this, blah, blah, blah." It was like a motion game. First game he put it in, we playing against Appalachian State at our place.
Mm-hmm.
And it was whipping everybody. So coming out, coach always was like, "This guy DJ this, DJ that. He's a good player." So no disrespect to the guy, DJ Thompson. I'm just looking how he played. Like, I'm looking how he moved. Like, he's a good player. But I'm like, he ain't like that. Coach talking to him. In that game, he came out. He had a good game, and I played. I don't think I made a field goal. But all this shit was going in my mind because I didn't really know how to play in the system. You know, it was new. So it'd be like some games I'd go on the stretch where I shoot maybe 5 times in a row. And that game I was just missing, and we lost. And then after that, I started getting better with the system. So fast forward to the conference tournament. My last go around, I'm just listening. This one, Plies, first came out. The old Plies first came out. Real like street. I'm listening to that every day. And we beat what's another crazy team? They had a bunch of crazy niggas too. Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
So they had a guard, Al Nesbitt, who's nice. Al Nesbitt was nice. Him and Genie.
Dontaye Genie or some shit like that.
So we start off playing them. You know me, I'm just going about the game, running the team. I don't never talk shit, nothing. This dude, Genie, like, hit a 3 and like bumped me. I'm like, all right. Killed them. I think I finished like 20 and like 8. So the next game we have a shoot around, and this time I think Appalachian State might be ranked at this moment. So they comes in the shoot around. I just hear these niggas loud, like in the lobby, like saying these chants and all this shit. And I'm like, these dudes is so arrogant. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm ready to play. So we go back. That whole night, I'm just thinking about everything. Coach keep talking about DJ this, DJ that. I'm like, all right. Next game, 38. Like
38.
That, I don't take not a lot of things personal, but that game was like personal. You know what I'm saying? That game was personal because coach was blowing. He just kept ringing in my ear. Look how fast he is. Look how defense he is. You know how it is as a hooper. You hear that, you're like, but that's how Coach Crimmins was. You know, he just liked everybody's game. And then goes to the championship game, fucking with Steph, man. We had it. We was beating them the whole game. You know, they helped, like Davidson always like helped me in check. They had a good scheme, good coach. they used to like shade me like going up the court. And I never really got into rhythm, but I knew how to get my other teammates involved. We beat them the whole game. And I remember this play like it was yesterday. Steph come down. You know how the point guard used to go to the foul line, and the guy they just used to cross on the baseline.
Yeah.
And my David Lawrence tripped. Steph wide open. Bang. With like 3 minutes left. And I'm like, almost. So they go up 2. You know, playing against Davidson, they control the shit out the clock. They control the game. Steph hit another 3. I'm like, oh, my God. We lost. I was hurt. I was like, dang, that was my chance to go to the tournament.
Yeah. Damn, like it was similar like when Steph, like right before Steph came, it was like me and you. So we was like, yo, this is the robbery, this is our turn. And we was like Davidson going down. And then all of a sudden, like you said, Steph came and he just like messed up all our plans, fucked up all our plans. Like we
exactly, because at the beginning of the season, he was just like, you 1 grade younger than me, but
junior,
Steph was just screens. Like, he ain't had a ball. He was dribbling crazy screens, just shooting. And I was pissed that they got it that year because they wasn't even like that year. The year before they was nice. They had, what was the shooting guard?
Brandon Winters.
Yeah. You win this nice.
Yeah, it's cold.
They had the point guard. I was tight.
Oh, yo, funny story. I got to talk about this too, because you were gone though. Speaking like motivation, we talked about this before. Your man, Jermaine Jackson.
Jermaine, oh my! I heard
so
look, I heard about. I leave, but Jermaine always liked it. So Jermaine Jackson is, he a politician now.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. But look, so Jermaine always was like, he was super arrogant, like this is my shit. Cali dude, like, give me the ball. I'm the best. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Man, they said Kyle went nuts.
Bro, the story was, though, because we had shoot around, and, you know, me, like, that, like, at the time, I'm like, I'm not even like that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm cool, even mannered. Sure. So my coach came back, and he gave me the newspaper article. And the newspaper article, like, Jermaine was like, yeah, Kyle Hines ain't even like that, this, that, and the other. Like, he was, like, basically just, like, talking shit. So I was like, all right. And I just gave it back to him, but I kept it in my mind. And all of a sudden, like, I don't know what happened. Something just switched. And, like, it was, like, 5 plays in a row where, like, I just scored. Like, I dunked on him. I hit a 3. I did something else, dunked on him again, blocked this shot. It was like, it was.
No, they hit me up. They hit me up. I swear they hit me up because Coach got it on Josh their freshman year about dancing, and you did that. Yeah. And then Jermaine was like, I ain't getting none of that. Now, it wasn't me, it was Josh. And then fast forward into that game, I remember that. They said it was bad, though.
Bro, yeah, that was like, I don't know, I was just like, I literally was like in an outer body experience. I was like that was like the best, like, in my career, that was like the best, like, 7 plays I had in a row. Like, I don't know what happened, and literally, like, everything just happened perfectly. That shit was crazy, bro. Like, but I didn't remember, like, that going back and forth, like, College of Charleston. That shit was fun,
like,
man. That shit was fun times, man.
Like, me and you have, like, similar, like, on-court personality. It would have to take, like, really something to go to a whole nother extreme.
That's crazy. That's dope, though. That's good to hear them stories. We gotta talk about your professional process, though, man. You know, now you graduating from College of Charleston. Hold up, we gotta backtrack a little bit. How did it feel to get that degree?
I ain't getting no degree.
Oh, you ain't getting no degree?
No, okay. So my mindset. So I think kind of different. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never was a school person. You know, I never really liked school, but I was always like a curious person. I always wanted to learn what I wanted to learn. So I never thought that I would get a 9-to-5 job for something that I went to school. Right. You know what I'm saying? So at that time, when I look back, only thing I wish I would have learned in college was learning more about like the basic business, the basic whatever I want to do in life. I wish I would have took that opportunity to learn in school.
Mhm.
But I never was like a school guy. I always did enough to play basketball.
Facts, almost.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
all of us.
I always did enough to play basketball, but I never was a fan of school because I never liked what they was teaching. Like, I always thought like, in 10 years, what I'm gonna do with trigonometry or what I'm gonna do with this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, no disrespect to the people that got their degrees, but I knew I was gonna make my money through basketball. So like my senior year, I was on pace to graduate, but then I took a summer class and I kept falling asleep. And Coach Crimmins came to me and was like, "What are you gonna do, man? Because if you stay in it and you fail, you can't play. But if you drop it, you can play." Coach Crimmins wanted me to stay in it. He was like, "I believe in you. I believe in you." Like, nah, I ain't gonna pass this class. And I dropped out. So I didn't get my degree. You know, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? So school wasn't really that big of a like thing of mine. You know, like my mother wanted me to graduate. My family, I just asked like, why? You know what I'm saying? I always ask. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to my mother because she want to see her child graduate, but I'm like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like people graduate and can't get a job.
And don't do nothing.
Right.
Not knocking people who went to school and studied, like got their degree. That's amazing. That's probably because your mom always wanted that.
Yeah.
You ain't ever get a chance to think about it, to do it yourself.
Right. Yeah, we got to talk about that pro process now, though. How it was for you. So, you know, going into that whole process.
Yeah, so that was basically like the pro process. It basically started when I was like 18, 17, when Melo first got to the league.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole shit when Melo got to the league, my life changed like this.
Yeah.
So flying on private jets, going everywhere. And once I saw all this stuff, I was like, fuck, I want my own bread. Because I used to hate, you know, like Melo used to take care of us. But it was like, if I wanted to take a girl to the movies, I had to ask Melo for $20 or $100. I just hated that. You know what I'm saying? So my whole pro process was, man, I just want to make my own money, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just want my own money because I was living a crazy lifestyle. So I was just like, I want my own money. So going into that, like I never auditioned for no agents, nothing. I just, one day after my season was over, I hit Melo agent at the time, like, yo, can you represent me?
Uh-huh.
I was like, yo, do you got time to represent me? So he was like, I'll take a look. So I sent them all my stuff. And then he ain't never watched it either. He ain't never really paid attention. And he just thought like one of the homeboys. He knew I played, but he ain't really paid attention.
He didn't even know you was like a hooper like that, really.
No, he knew I was hooper because we was together every day, but he didn't even know like I had a future like basketball. You know what I'm saying? All his clients was all NBA players. He ain't had no overseas people. So I gave him my stuff. And then he hit me back like a week later. He was like, shit, like you might gotta, you know, we might can do some things. You know what I'm saying? Hold on tight. So after that, after the season, it was like 2 weeks in, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna send you the paperwork. We good to go. Like, let's see what you're gonna do. So, and at that time, Bobby Crimmins, he was my biggest #1 fan. So Bobby was like, I'm in the office, and Bobby old as hell, and Bobby calling NBA execs like, yo, like, what do you think? Bobby had San Antonio, Indiana Pacers, like 3 NBA teams just to come. you know what I'm saying, come watch the games. And after the season, Calvin set up an NBA workout with Golden State Warriors, but my other was with Coach Crimmins.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So Coach Crimmins set that up, and I worked out. You know, things was okay, and then I ain't had no like offers for summer league or nothing. But then Calvin was like, "We're gonna use Denver." You know what I'm saying? Because I worked out with them every summer.
Yeah, you were there. Yes, they knew you.
You know, I was there every summer when Melo was there, so they knew me. So once Calvin put the word in, like the favor, it was a favor because of Melo. They get the favor pass, and then once I got the favor pass and I went to camp with the little mini camp, I did my thing and I played. So that's basically how that started. You know what I'm saying? And then once I got to Denver, those guys they knew me. Like I was like part of the family because I was always there. So they let me rock out, and I just went along like that. And then after the summer league, during the summer league, I was getting offered. I had like I had an offer from Turkey and an offer from Slovenia. So during the summer league, I'm like, man, I ain't going to none of those countries, you know, because you ain't never heard. Like, I heard of Italy, I heard of Spain, but I ain't never heard of like Turkey, Slovenia. And this was funny. We're in Vegas, and I can never forget this too. I always give my agent shit. So my agent is Rade. You know Rade? Rade's pretty big.
Yeah.
So I remember this. So after my game, like after my second game, I didn't really do much. And Calvin introduced me to the European agent because they got BDA is a big company. So he's like, hey, Roddy, this Dontaye Draper, Roddy gives me this and just kept walking. So I'm big off energy and vibes. And I knew, like, he just gave me the boom.
Kept it moving.
Next to the last game, I had a big game against the Lakers. One of those games, I just was on fire from three. I had 18 points against the Lakers. So the next time after that game, I had a meeting again with Calvin and Rade. This time, Rade was like, hey, good game. He just kept telling me, you got to shoot more, you got to shoot more, you got to shoot more. So he was like, I think I can find something for you. And then the next day, because he's from Slovenia, he was like, he didn't want, like, I got a job for you in Slovenia. I think it was like 75 or 80,000. And the Turkish team came, and I was like, I ain't going to no Turkey. You know what I'm saying? So I shot both of, like, which was crash, shot both of those, my first two offers down, and I just was like, I ain't going to none of those countries. So we went straight back to Denver. I went back to Denver, you know, living my good life, but I was also, like, working out at the same time, still with no clue of what I'm going to do, but I know I ain't going to Turkey or Slovenia. At this time, it's like the beginning of September. And now I start to see, like, everyone going overseas, everyone doing this and that, and I still don't got nothing. And then the coach from the Denver Nuggets, Mike Dunlap, hit me. Was like, yo, I got my best friend coaching in Australia. He's looking for a point guard. I told him a lot about you, and he's interested. I'm like, all right, bet. I do Australia. You know what I'm saying? They speak English. I do Australia. So I hit my agent. He called Rade, and Rade was like, no, this is not our market. We can't do Australia. So I'm like, oh my God. So he was like Europe. He was like, we need to go in Europe. And I'm like, hearing all these stories about people not getting paid and all that. So I'm like, man. I'm like, all right. So I called Coach Dunlap, and they was like, well, this is not our market. And Mike Dunlap was like, telling you this would be the best decision. So I'm like, okay. 4 days later, Melo was like, yo, what you gonna do? You gonna go play? I'm like, shit, I ain't getting nothing I want. That night I got a call at like 11 a.m. fucking Denver time. No, 11 p.m. at night, Denver time. My agent was like, yo, I just talked to Sydney and they won't give you the deal. And they gonna give you like $15,000 a month. And that was fucking 3 times the other offer like but the season short. So I ain't even care. I'm like, I'm done. I'm going.
Yeah, going.
It happened just like that. And it ain't like my agent. It was crazy. It ain't like my agent went out there and found the job. It was the assistant coach, Nugget, who contacted another coach and got me on. So signed the deal just like that. And then 2 days, I had to go to Baltimore, pack the rest of my stuff, and I straight to Australia.
So you had a pretty good season. I mean, your first season in Australia, you 6th man of the year. Y'all finished second in the league.
My first year in Sydney. So I get to Sydney, and that was a big adjustment too because of the time difference. Over there, they're like a day ahead.
12 hours ahead, yeah.
Imagine that, they're a whole day ahead. So I get to Sydney for 2 days, and then the next day we had to travel. No, I get to Sydney, and in 2 days we had to travel to China for it was like a EuroLeague thing, like a EuroLeague tournament thing. It was like Benetton Treviso, CSKA Moscow. It's crazy. CSKA Moscow, Hines, and Team China with Yao Ming and them.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy and nuts. So we go, I never forget this either. We go over there and, I'm practicing playing. And coach was like, and the head coach was cool as shit, Brian Gorgian. He was like, yo, so we playing against this team, CSKA Moscow. It's like the biggest team in Europe, like this and that. Like, yo, like, I'm going to start you. This is my first professional game against CSKA. He was like, yo, I'm going to start you. And, just do your thing. You know what I'm saying? This is a big test for us. So we played CSKA, and I'm like killing. Like, I had like 8. And then, coach was telling me, like, yo, this is one of the best point guards in Europe, J.R. Holden.
Yeah.
But again, I'm looking at it like, he ain't got none of this. But I'm like, he's nice. I never disrespect him like he's nice, but he ain't got none of that. He's just a great point guard. So while we in the game, so I already went in there with like a chip. So I had like 18. We almost beat CSKA that year, but they had a squad, like Trajan Langdon, all those guys. And I remember talking to J.R. Holden during the game. He was like, yo, like you good, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, yo, he was very positive, like a cool dude. And then we played all those European teams, and I played well against them. And then that year, and I started all those games. So we go back to Australia, and coach put me on the bench.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just imagine that. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a foreigner, you come into Australia, I'm like better than a lot of guys. Coach straight put me and the other American on coming off the bench. That's unheard of. But we had all the national team players on our team. Mm-hmm. So we had the national team point guard that was playing in front of me. We had a lot of good players. So, man, I was tight. I was tight. And he was like, yo, don't worry, you coming off the bench. And then I went to practice the next day, like Moody. You know what I'm saying? Like, Moody didn't want to do nothing. Coach put me in his offense. It was like, we can't have you practicing like that. If you was in Europe, you would be home right now. You got to pick it up. He was like, you got to start talking to your teammates. Like, you can't wear your headphones on all the time. Like typical Americans, like when we came over there, I just used to listen to my music, do my job, wasn't really talking to him. He was like, yo, just come in here without your earphones and communicate. After that, I didn't do that. I didn't wear my headphones again. And I just like, fuck it. Ain't nothing I can do. I'm going to just take this 6-man role and just do what I can do. And he gave me the green light with the 6-man role. You know what I'm saying? So when I came in the game, everything went through me. So I had an amazing season. I got like 6-man of the year. I think I probably averaged like 15, 14. But it was cool though, you know, like I adjusted to my role very well.
Talk about the lifestyle in Sydney though, like Sydney, Australia, because I seen a quote. It was it was like party boy Dontaye Draper, well known on the basketball court, but even better in the Sydney nightclub scene. I was like, yo.
So Sydney mindset is like the States, like they don't really outside of sports. You know what I'm saying? As long as you come in, do your job, don't get in no trouble, you're free to do whatever you want to do. So in Sydney, I was in the streets heavy. But I was also like putting in work too. So we had practice every morning at like 10 a.m., like 10:30 in the morning. And at this time, Sydney was lit, bro. Like it was lit. Like every day you can do something. And at this time it wasn't. I ain't had no bread like that. I wasn't like buying no tables and no shit like that. I just go in, go to the club, get my drinks. Me and my man that was out there, he the one put me on. And I was just like living the life out there, man. Just like having fun and playing. But and also it was like it wasn't that expensive, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't it's not like that. It was like an extension of college, but now I could get to go in the club. Mm-hmm. So we were winning, and I was getting it in. And they knew, everybody knew, but it took me a while. I ain't party, I ain't do nothing. Like my first month and a half in Sydney. Like my first 2 months, I ain't do nothing. Nothing. And then once I went out the first time, it was a wrap.
It was over.
Right. But coach never tripped. They used to make jokes about it and everything. Mm-hmm. I used to come in and practice on time, everything. Did my job, but I used to be out a lot. Not a lot, but like Wednesdays. So we played twice a week. So every time after the game, go to a nice restaurant, and then we'll go out. And then on the weekends. So maybe like 3 times a week. It wasn't like every night. It was like Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Sunday, one of those.
Cool. A standard.
but again, I was used to it. You know, like in Baltimore, like even in high school, we was going to clubs because it was like no alcohol, like
just going out.
Over. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't no, but I was still going out. So I was already used to playing the party. Even in like, since I was like 15, we go out the night before, but we always had to work out in the morning. So that was like my routine. So I got used to it. So for me, like if I go out, still to this day, if I go out, I'm always gonna wake up no later than 11.
Yeah.
Always gonna be like that. Never had hangovers in my life, maybe like 2 in my life.
That's facts. I seen it. That's facts.
I don't know what y'all got set up, but when we're gonna get to the Verily days, you know?
We get the Verily right now if you want. Yeah, man. So we can talk about that because like you know what I mean, obviously you came back that you eventually went to Europe, did the training camp, you know.
Oh yeah,
you gotta talk about that. You gotta talk about like you. Now, the one question I had though was like, you know, you've been in training camp with Denver like 3 times. Like, did you ever feel like once? Well, you went to training. I'm talking summer league 3 times, and then training camp with the one time. Now, talk about the experience in Denver. Let's talk about that whole experience. Like, you know what I mean? I remember you said you went to China. That's the year there with the China, right?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that after. So when I finally come to Europe, finally after Australia, the worst shit that can possibly happens. My first stop is in Naples, Italy. I signed with I signed a deal with Naples. We get to my first year in Europe. We get to Naples. This is my first time saying anything. So I'm thinking all Europe looked like Naples. So, listen, you been to Naples? Y'all been to Naples?
I haven't been to Naples yet. No, not yet.
That's the biggest gangster city ever.
Word.
So I get to Naples, right? And I get there. Everything is cool. We're in a hotel. And I talked to my guy, Joe Connolly. He's a president for the Nuggets. He was like, yo, I'm happy that you got the deal. At the end of the message, he was like, be safe. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, so I'm like, yeah, I got you. So we go to practice and shit. Me, G. Forbes, Mike Nardi, we go hooping, everything good. Giving us mad Reebok gear, everything is good. So the third day, I'm talking to somebody else from back home that hoop. And they tell me the same thing. Yo, be careful. I'm like, what? Let me Google. So I Google Naples. I'm like, Google, and I'm like, oh, shit. You know, that's like one of the biggest, like, mafia towns, like, in the most dangerous place in the world. I'm like, oh, shit. So literally that day, we going to practice, me and G. Forbes, because they gave us a car. I'm like, no, I don't want no car. Because they drive crazy out there. They drive crazy. We stopping at the red light. Dude come up on like one of those bicycles. We like, it's a red light. He goes around the car, gave us the middle finger, and ran the red light. So we going to practice, and we were talking to the Italians like, yo, like, what's going on out here? Like, people don't stop at red lights. They use it as, like, the stop sign. The teammate was like, hell no, there's no rules in driving down here. we like, yo, what the fuck? So I'm there for like a couple weeks, and the players not getting paid, but I ain't really tripping. I'm just there to hoop. So we got a tournament. We got a tournament, and we playing Zalgiris, like a 14 tournament. We get called for breakfast, and they was like, we got a meeting. Nigga, we go to the meeting. The GM said, we got some bad news. You know, they kicked us out of the Italian league. like, what? But I ain't really tripping because I already, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, what? So we go back. So G. Forbes, that's my man. G. Forbes was tripping because G. Forbes was supposed to got drafted. He ended up there. So his mind is all the way messed up. You know, he like, what? So we go back. I called my agent. My agent was like, yeah, I heard the news. He was like, don't worry. Just stay put. We're going to find you a new team. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, cool. You know what I'm saying? I want to try. I had some bread I had some money from Australia. Like, cool. I don't know what to do. So G. Forbes is stressing the whole time. Like, yo, what the fuck? Boom, boom, boom. Like, he coming over to my house, like, trying to get in touch with his agent. His agent ain't answering. I'm like, G, listen, stop. I forgot who his big agent was. I'm like, stop trying to contact your big agent. Yeah. Contact work for him. I'm like, that guy worrying about, like, Rudy, CP, and I like, forget him. Contact somebody that's below him. They finally got it done. And I was sitting there with G, like, he had 3, because Forbes was killing that in the preseason. Yeah. So, boom, agent was like, yo, we got a deal for you. Second division in Italy, they was going to give G, like, 190 to go there for, like, to practice and play. And I'm hearing this. I'm like, oh, shit. And he like, no, I ain't doing no second division. So I'm just like, not saying nothing. I still don't have no job or nothing yet. So later that night, my agent was like, yo, we got a team in France that you can go, you know what I'm saying, they want you. But it's only like $7,000 a month. So I'm like, oh my God. Y'all told me to come. First thing I get over here is just how people say it is. Yeah. They don't pay. I'm on a team. They got kicked out without no notice. So I'm like, oh my God.
So you off it?
Off it already. So then I go to France, south of France, to Toulon in France. It's like right before the season, like I had like a week practice for the season. Get to France, first time ever being homesick. Nobody speak English.
Mm-hmm.
No clubs, no nothing like that. Like I was miserable. We play the French. We play the French league games, and I ain't do so well like the first 4 French games. Coach kept taking me in, taking me out, so I'm like off of it. Then we had like this Euro Challenge shit. I don't even know what that was. We had this, and our older players, they didn't want to go. They didn't want to do those travels. So it left me playing 40 minutes a game, and I just went off. In the Euro Challenge, I averaged probably like 18 and like 8 or something like that in like the 5 games. And then the French league, I was trash. I was like 12 points. Like once I looked on Eurobasket and I seen like the Euro Challenge shit come on the front page, that was my motivation. I was like, oh, this shit. And then I got bought out. Shit, I ain't never heard of that, but I got bought out during that year, like November. And then that's when my life changed. It went from me wanting to go back to Europe, me wanting to go back to Australia because I couldn't deal with Europe, to going from 7,000 to 20,000 per month. You know what I'm saying? So just like that, I went to Ostende and everything was back to normal. I was happy. And then fast forward it, after that year, I had a really good summer with Denver, and they invited me to camp. So answer what question you had for me about Denver.
So like when you go to Denver, and obviously people know you because like you Melo's best friend and everything in relationship there. Do you ever feel like that kind of like your relationship with Melo kind of like didn't allow you to kind of like, get the recognition that you should, like being on Denver and playing on Denver?
I think it was kind of like people in the back of their mind, like in the front, they thought it, they knew it was like a friendship thing. Yeah. But once I got in the camp, George Carl was like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I was playing well. That's when Ty Lawson was a rookie. Yeah. So George Carl was rocking with me. You know what I'm saying? Like he was surprised, like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the players was rocking with me too, like Chauncey Billups, Kenyon Martin, all those guys. They was all rocking with me. I was really playing well. I was making my jumpers. I was working hard. I was playing well. And George Carl, he actually like put me in the game, and like he was rocking with me. And I made it to the final cut, which was crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I knew I wasn't going. I knew it was a slim chance of me making the team, but I wanted that experience. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I got like the NBA experience, with the training camp, like going to China. That was crazy. Flying to, we flew from Denver to over there, and these guys was gambling the whole trip. And but me and Ty Lawson, we actually won some money shooting dice on the plane. Ty was on fire, and I remember this. So we shooting dice, Ty cracking everybody, all the older dudes. So I still got that street mindset. I'm telling Ty, like we stopped in Alaska. So I'm telling Ty, like, yo, like, stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop, let's get off. Because I knew a lot of these guys got more money. So if you got the most money, they're going to keep playing until they win.
Yeah, you're going to play forever.
You're going to play forever. So I'm telling Ty, like, yo, like, get off the plane. Let's get off. Like, I already checked out because I was side betting.
Yeah.
I'm telling Ty, like, yo, come on. But Kenyon Martin, like, no. I'm telling Ty, like, yo, let's get off. And Ty was up. I don't know how much money Ty Lawson had. He was on there rookie, but he was up. He was up a lot. And then they got him, you know what I'm saying? They end up, the longer they play, I don't know if he still won, but they end up, like, bringing it back down. But he probably was up maybe 20, 30,000. He was on fire. Like, he was hitting numbers, and he was and Ty was side betting everybody himself. So it was like Ty was, and also you had like other guys that was betting on. He was betting everybody. A young nigga betting everybody, winning. That was an experience too with them going to China and all that. That was crazy.
I still remember the story you told me about the China markets, the Louis Vuitton joint.
Listen, we go there, right? So when we get to China, all those guys have their own platforms. So like, I wasn't even with Melo most of the time because he had so much shit to do, you know, with Jordan and all the promotion. So when we got there, Beijing or Shanghai, I think it was Beijing. Like Melo he was busy all day with like different shit. So I was basically like alone. And then Kmart was like, yo, I got the driver, you know, come with me. So I went with Kmart to the wall, the Great Wall, and then we went shopping around, and we went to those markets. It's the craziest shit ever. But I experienced it when I was in Sydney. When I was in Sydney, one of those markets. But I didn't experience this right here. So we go in there, and Kmart got another guy, like I don't know who this guy is, like a serious-ass dude. So he comes, he shows us. So we go through the same market. Then he was like, just keep walking. Like, all these people grabbing you, like, yo, come by this, come by that. Man, we go down. Like, he take us down, like, the basement area. Nigga, he take us down in the basement area. It's like a kitchen. So it's like maybe 50 benches, like at a restaurant. And then you got each guy bringing out books. They're bringing out books. So you sit down at the table, what you want, what you need, what you want. So they bringing out the books of like any luggage, any like backpack, any everything. So the guy was like, yeah, like this is like the original fake shit. He was like, you buy here, it was like, so like for like a Louis Vuitton bag, for like $1,200, you pay like $350 or $250. It'd be something that they take from like the manufacturer where they fuck up like the strings or something wrong with it. Something wrong with it, but they sell it in there. Yo, it was crazy. Like they give you the book and they say, yo, what you want? They go in the back and they bring it out. It was the craziest shit I ever seen. Like golf clubs, like everything. Like Chauncey Billups brought, the shit was so crazy. The Nuggets team playing, people had so much shit. Like Chauncey brought like a whole thing of golf clubs, like Mercedes-Benz golf clubs. It was crazy. It was crazy.
All right, so we definitely got to get into the Verily days, man.
Verily. So I got cut. So when we get back, I got cut in like around October. So I had two options. I had Aris in Greece. Mm-hmm. They was putting hard, and I think that year they was like EuroCup, EuroLeague. But again, my agent was like, they have some problems with the money, but you're gonna get paid, but it's a higher level. So I'm like, oh man. Then the next day he was like, yo, I got this team in Italy, second division. And then again, I'm like, fuck, I ain't going to no second division, honestly. But that was like the mentality, like, I ain't going to second division. So I'm like, boom. Then they send the offer, and the money made me think twice, like, how is this possible? You know what I'm saying? Like, you think about it, they offer more money than my Aris offer. So he was like, yo, think twice about it. Next day came around, we ain't getting no offers, and I was like, man, work, like, y'all got to do your job. Like, I don't want to go to the second division. Because I'm thinking, like, if someone going to offer me this money, find me another job that pay this money. Day later, Verily wasn't fucking around. They called, like, yo, like, is he going to take the deal or not? Or it's coming off the table. We got, like, two other players that we looking at. So now I was like, fuck it. Kyle on the team. I'm out there. I'm like, I think I called. Did I call you or get in touch?
You called me, and I low key kind of lied to you too, because you was like, "Well, how's the city?" I was like, "Yeah, it's all right." I was like, "Yeah, it's straight." I was like, "Yeah, it's straight now." I was like, "It ain't too bad."
Yeah, so I remember getting in touch because I always get in touch with somebody, like before I signed. So I got in touch with him. He was like, "Yeah, it's straight." You know what I'm saying? Everything cool. So I'm like, cool, I take it. You know what I'm saying? It was great money. You know, for second division, like it was great money. I flew out there, and I was like, wow. Like, what the fuck?
I remember that first day you see me. I was like...
But I wasn't really, like, now when I look back on it, I wasn't tripping about, like, the small shit. I wasn't, like, we had to wash our own shit.
Yeah.
Put jersey. The gym was terrible.
Terrible.
We never complained about that type of shit.
We didn't even think about it, though.
Like, honestly, like, I never complained about, like, the gym, the practice jersey. I never complained about none of that. You know what I'm saying? I just was, like, ready to hoop. And then I get to Verily, practice and everything cool. The coach was cool. And we just was vibing, man. And one thing I didn't like was, like I said, I'm big on energy and vibe. I didn't like the vibe from Afiq.
Yeah.
Yo, he gave me the most, like, jealous, envy, like craziest vibe that I couldn't even, like, I'd be on the court, and I ain't know the plays that well. And he'd just, like, not take the ball, but, like, call his own shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
so you can go to the corner and stuff like that. Yeah, I remember I used to be.
That's the point guard from Israel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't vibe with him at all. I just didn't like. I think he. I don't know what was going mentally, but I think he wanted to, like, be the man. I wasn't really trying to be the man. I just wanted to win and do my job. You know what I'm saying?
We had so many funny stories. Like you said, like the Drake didn't drive, so I used to have to pick him up every day in practice. I used to take his car and I used to take my car. So I used to fairly small anyway. So I used to take his car, pick him up. I remember you to go down that small ass street in your car.
Yo, now when I look back, I show people. So look, I show people and I tell people, like, yeah, I played in Italy, and I say the name of the town. People from Italy don't even know the town.
Yeah.
I literally had to know where it's at. Like, it was one way in.
One way out.
One way out. Gas station, right on the side. One gas station.
Yeah.
Oh, it was cool.
Yeah, man. We literally made the best of it, bro. Cause like that's when
thinking about it, like,
shit was crazy. Now looking back on it, like now that like where you came from, like some of the things we was there, we was like but we didn't complain. Like we literally made the best of it. Like we made the best out of it, bro.
The only thing I complained about was them telling us we couldn't go to Rome when we wanted to.
But we still went. You talk about going out, bro. We went out Wednesday, Thursday.
No. At first, look.
First, you pushed me. You pushed me to go out.
I'm kind of like, man, guys. So we was always going on Thursdays.
Yeah.
We was always going up down Thursdays, and we come back. But I just hated, I hated to party. And then drive all the way back. I hated that. Even, for safety reasons, party reasons, if you meet somebody, I just hated that. So
we got into an accident on the one time on the way back. Yeah, I totaled your car. I smashed your car, bro. We driving back one night. Not to cut you off. We driving back one night from Rome, going out. It's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever. We drive, and I hit the curb, and the car bumped me. But this shit was kind of like, now you think about it, it was scary because we could have really we could have been dead, bro. So we fall off the road, and then Drake's car is in the ditch like this. And so we get out the car, and the airbag explodes, everything. And we just sitting yo, what do we do?
Right, that's crazy.
Yo, luckily I had the girl with me.
Yeah. She spoke like Spanish or something. She spoke Spanish, and the dude was like Argentinian, so she was able to translate because we'd have been stuck.
Yo, that I ain't gonna never forget that, bro. And then I had a chick, and she over exaggerating. Oh my God, my God. We all, everybody, the car was done.
Done, total, bro, total.
Car was done. So we get that. We get to practice, and we're in the meeting. You know, Kyle, he always gonna be nice. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter what. So we get in a meeting with the people, and they was like basically like blaming us. You don't supposed to, and we like, what? Like we had morning off. Who said we can't do this and do that? Nobody was drinking and driving. We wasn't drunk. Nobody was drunk at this time. Probably you should be worried about our safety. And they was like, we're going to do this. And I'm like, no, hell no. You know what I'm saying? Like that, because it was my car. I'm like, we ain't do nothing wrong. Like they wanted to like find us. I think they did find us.
I remember I was ready to leave. I called my agent. I was like, I'm going. I was like, enough's enough. I was like,
you was over it.
Yeah, I was over it, bro.
They was tripping. And it wasn't even like we got hit. Car got totaled. Fairly. We had some
crazy.
Yeah.
Before we done, you gotta tell us funny stories about Ron, man. What Ron did.
So Ron became my guy. Ron became my guy. Ron came out there.
Y'all niggas are inseparable, bro.
You know, Kyle is more. He chill all the way. Like once I have a few drinks, I open up a little bit. Kyle just gonna be chill the whole time. So when Ron came out there, Ron can talk, and that's not my forte unless I get a hint. So Ron initiated at everything. So once Ron got his eyes on something, I'm following right up. So Ron get out there. Ron, he gets out like 2 weeks. He know everybody. He know everybody.
The whole town, bro. They set up a business to that everything, bro.
So Ron got into this hustle mode. He realized like these people in the club, they wearing this and that. So Ron started his own sneaker company. I'm like, Ron, where you get these fake ass sneakers from? Like, yo, what do you can buy them online. You can do this. And I'm like, oh my God. That man supposed to came out there for like 2 weeks. He ended up staying for like 3-4 months.
He was DJing at the games. Like nigga, he was doing everything.
It was everything. They all love Ron. That was my guy. Cause I used to go. So after a few months, once I got comfortable, then I really start to like do my thing. So I go to Rome 2 or 3 times a week.
By yourself, bro.
At one point, Kyle came up there. He went up there with me a few times. So I used to go. It was another party in Rome that was like on a Friday or Sunday. One of those days, it was another good party. So I used to take the train. I used to have Kyle drop me off at the I used to take the train up there, and then as soon as it let out, it was a train at like 7 in the morning. So we used to have weights. We used to have weights at like 10. So I used to take the train, come back, get ready for practice. I used to sleep on the train. I don't lift weights, so when I get in the weight room, I just. I always get to go with all strength and conditioning coaches.
Bro, I remember. I'll tell people all the time because like I said, everybody got a story about like you popping up on by yourself, and I was like, yo, we be at practice. I go back to the crib and I hit Draper up like because we practice like 30 minutes away. So when I get back to the crib, I hit Draper up like, yo, where you at? Yeah, I'm already in Rome at the spot. And it'd be like, it got to the point where you was just like, he was gone. He was like, yo, I'm not here, bro. I'm gone.
Once I figured it out, I figure how to move. Like, I don't need nobody. I'll be out. I'll find a girl that I know or one dude I know, and I'm there. Because that was like therapy for me. Like, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be the person I was. Like, if I didn't go out, I couldn't play, the way I played. And that goes, once we talked about my best year in Europe and Croatia, that's how I became that. You know what I'm saying? I had to go to Rome. You know what I'm saying? I had to be around. I had to walk the city. I had to see all this historical stuff. Like, if I just had to sit in Verily, I'd go crazy. I would have been cut, for sure.
You jumped right into it. So talk to about, your situation with Cheddar Vita, and, talk about, like, those, like you said, those are basically what put you on, and, what you most known for, that 2011 season, you won EuroCup MVP, and then the next season, like, so talk about those 2 years in Croatia, and then talk about, you got to talk about the Zagreb. I mean, your legendary nightlife, moments there too. Like, like I said, people, you still famous, for being out there.
Sure. So that all happened, like, when I went to Croatia, again, I was playing Summer League, and now me and my agent, Rade, the one who, like, gave me we closed if he seen me work. So we closed. So now the Nuggets, so I had 2 Summer League offers that year. And again, I just go back to the Nuggets because, again, I don't really care too much about making a team. I just want to play and get the best opportunity. I know Denver they're going to be honest. They ain't going to tell you, like, you got a chance to make it. They're going to let you rock out. So I went to Denver, and I played well. And I remember at the last game, my agent came like, yo, there's a team from Croatia that you want to go to. Again, I'm like, Croatia? Like, what? At the time, I just knew only of Sibona, because Sibona played EuroLeague. He was like, no, it's another team, new team coming up. And I'm like, oh, my God. So the next day, the coach, Drazen Petrovic's brother, was like, yo, I love your game, and I'm going to put the ball in your hand. I love your game, put the ball in your hand. We're going to run a spread offense, and you just do your thing. I was like, okay, it sounds good. Then they sent me the offer. And this was the biggest I had at that moment. You know what I'm saying? It was like 250, 255, something like that. So I'm like, oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, as soon as he said that, I'm like, okay. And they gave me an NBA, like, out. Like, if an NBA team doesn't sign me to training camp with money by, like, August, one of those dates, then my contract was is good. Because at that summer, I had Chicago Bulls, Sacramento Kings. They was, like, really interested. And Washington Wizards. They were really interested. So at the Vegas, I went to Tim Gregory's camp. So you know Tim Gregory's camp? So I went to Greg's camp, and the first day at Greg's camp, I twist my ankle crazy, like high ankle sprain. Like, done. Couldn't play no more. But luckily, I signed a contract in Vegas at Summer League, so I was good. So I go back to Baltimore, and we had one of those hood tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
I was already healed. I was supposed to go to Croatia in like a week. So I go to Baltimore, one of the biggest hood games ever. Everybody like, yo, play. I go out there and play. Last minute of the game, take a 3 in the corner, and I, like, stepped on somebody's feet on the sideline, roll my ankle again. So now it's like, second time it's like purple, black. So I'm like icing, like literally icing every day because I got to go overseas in like 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm icing every day. Shit, still messed up. So I meet the team in Zagreb. I meet the coach and everybody in Zagreb. We do like tests and everything. And then I told them that I like sprained my ankle working out like with nobody. And they seen it. They was like, oh man, it's pretty bad. So they doing the x-rays. And yo, we got to tell the coach. So they was like, you should be good. So I get to training camp. Coach seen it. And I still can't really run. So I'm like scared, like, oh shit, they gonna cut my dumb ass. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. But Coach Ken was like, cool, like just like this. Sit out for 5 days.
Yeah.
Like, you know, sit out for 5 days, you get treatment and see how you go. So, and at that time, they was doing like 3 a days. Like, they was waking up. We was in training camp in a place called Rogla in the mountains. So they'd wake up in the morning, run, weights, and then basketball at night. So I was skipping all that shit. And I could see, like, when we come for break in the morning, and I don't really know my teammates shit. I could just see, all, like, you practicing today? You practicing today? So I'm like, oh, I'm hurt. You know, but I was really hurt. After, like, 6 days, I finally practiced, and I was, like, practicing on, like literally, like, 60%, like, limping and shit. And then coach, like, okay, set me down for another 3 days. And then I came back and played the scrimmage. And then he was like, what we going to do to get you back right? So I just need rest. Training camp in, we go back and play a tournament. And I'm like, at this time, I'm like 75%. And I played well in the preseason game because I was hitting all my threes. I couldn't really drive, but I hit all my threes. And then coach was like, yo, like, this is your team. Like, it go off of you. I built this team around you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not healthy, then just tell me, and I give you some more time off. But at this time, I'm like thinking about my teammates of like how they looking at me because I ain't practicing, I ain't doing this, and I ain't doing that. So I'm like, fuck, I had a tough decision. So I just was like, went with my teammates, like, I'm gonna just practice. So I practiced, and I was making everything. Because that summer before I had a great summer. Mm-hmm. And the last preseason tournament, coach only played me like 10 minutes. And then we had like 7 days to our first real game. So in those 3 days when we got back to Zagreb, I had to get treatment early in the morning, then I had to practice. Nigga, so by the time the first game come, I was fresh. You know what I'm saying? I was at this time like 85%, so I'm fresh. And then coach just was like, do your thing.
Go.
Now, bro, like he just let me do my thing. He was like, yo, it's a spread offense. Do your thing. And that's basically what happened. And throughout the season, I was having fun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was having fun. Like Zagreb was a great city, a lot of things to do, a lot of beautiful women. So I was having fun off the court, man, and that led on to my performance on the court. Like that whole season, I never looked at like no MVP rankings. I never looked at no EuroLeague game. I never looked at none of that shit. I ain't pay attention to none of that. I was just happy in Zagreb with Sadovita. You know, I didn't even know that I was going to get MVP. I didn't even know that I was on I didn't even know how to even judge who get the MVP.
Yeah.
And like my teammates told me. Like, I ain't know nothing about, like, the player efficiency or none of that. I was open. And every game, like, my player efficiency was, like, 20. Mm-hmm. And I ain't even know how it worked. You know what I'm saying? I just know I was happy. Like, every day I went to practice, I was happy. Like, I ain't wake up like, oh, fuck. We ain't really had crazy practices. We practiced for only like an hour and 15. You know what I'm saying? So I always stayed after practice for like 30, 40 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And just to get shots up and work on my individual game. But I was just happy in Croatia, man. And that led to my performance. I wasn't worried about like my numbers. I wasn't worrying about, because I didn't know nothing about guys was getting paid all that money. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I ain't know guys was getting paid all that money in Europe. So that wasn't really in my mind. Like, I ain't want to go to, like, Real Madrid and all, because I ain't really know too much about none of that stuff. I was just stuck in my own bubble in Croatia. So that helped, too. Like, I ain't had no pressure in the back of my head. Like, to do this. Like, I ain't had to, like, show off for my mother or my family because they ain't never really watched me play basketball anyway. They just knew I was doing something positive. So I ain't really have pressure of, like, proving to someone what I was doing.
So you have a good year. You know, you say you had your best year, but now, you know, you get a taste of the EuroLeague. You signed to, you know, Madrid. So talk about that.
Yeah, so that whole process was crazy. And another thing, I was in my own bubble. Like, when I got the MVP in 2011, I signed an extension in the EuroCup Final Four because I don't even know about, like,
you wasn't even thinking about it.
I don't even know how much money they're making, how much they can make. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know. I just knew I love Sadovita, I love Croatia, and I was just living a good life. They gave me an offer, like a 2-year, $1 million, and for me that was like,
that's an M.
which is still a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is amazing. And then they was like, yo, they brought up the national team stuff with the passport. At first I said, nah, I like my summers too much, you know? So I was like, nah, I can't do that. But then they was like, yo, like, with this passport, Barcelona and Real Madrid going to offer you a contract like that. So they explained that whole process to me, but I still was like, I love my summers too much. And then it happened, and I signed an extension, got the passport. So I ain't really know too much about, like, the EuroLeague and how much money. So I signed the extension, and then after after that season in 2010, 2011, they fired my coach. I was tight. You know what I'm saying? They fired my coach because we were supposed to go to EuroLeague the next year, but, like, 3 players got hurt, like Corsi Elwitz, Brady Wright.
Yeah.
So me, Bracy got hurt, and another key player got hurt. So in Croatia, they go off, like, the point system. Like, you got to have a certain amount of points in the year to be EuroLeague. So at the end of the year, we lost in the championship to KK Zagreb. You know, they had Krzysztof Simon. They had a good team. You know what I'm saying? We lost. And they got the EuroLeague the next year, and we stayed down in EuroCup. So they didn't bring back my coach. So the 2011-12 season, they brought a whole nother coach in. And, oh, my God, that was one of my worst years of basketball because he came in super strict, trying to change everything. So that year I was stressing because as soon as I signed my extension, then I started hearing all these other offers from all these other teams, and I got mad at my agent. Like, yo, why the fuck tell me $1 million, $2 million out? Because I didn't know all that. You know, I didn't know guys was making that much money. So he was like, no, this is a process. You know, you get the pet, all this craziness. So I was kind of tight on them because I could have left right after that season and start making. You know what I'm saying? So in 2011-12, the coach came and he changed everything. I wasn't even the same player as I was the year before. One, it's because my summer was taken. I didn't get a chance to work out and do my normal routine. I had to go to the national team with Croatia, and we was practicing crazy. So I ain't have no break. I went straight from the season, 2 weeks off, 2.5 weeks off, go back to training camp, play with the national team, and then right into the season. So that 2011 year I was a totally different player. Like I was always like my knees was hurting. I didn't get a chance to work on my game. Coach was crazy. So I was kind of like nervous, you know, like is those teams still going to be around that was there the previous season? So luckily enough, midway through the season, teams start calling again. I had a $350,000 buyout. And Real Madrid was the one that was always consistent. They was consistent, like they was like on it. And then they ain't never say the Russian team, but I had a Russian team too that was offering crazy. And then there was Ephes. So when I go to the I'm gonna go back. So after I got the MVP, I was with the national team going back to all these offers, when these offers was coming in, I was arguing with my agency, like, yo, like, why you didn't tell me all this shit was happening?
Yeah.
And they wanted me to go to my team and ask them to get me out of my contract. And I'm like, no, like, I signed it.
It's too late.
Too late. And then Anadolu Efes, they offered a big man. They offered $375,000. They offered like a package. And my president said no, you know, because he was building a program.
Yeah.
And I the program because they already had money. You know what I'm saying? And then to the 11 and 12 season, I just didn't play as well. You know, I probably averaged like 13 points. You know, we played better as a team. You know, I had my few good games here and there. Like against Maccabi, I had like 28. I had a few good games, but it wasn't the same. So I was kind of worried, like, yo, is these teams going to come back? Especially the money that they were saying before, I was worried. And then Real Madrid just stayed on it, man. They stayed on it, and then they contacted me during the season, like at the end, and they was like, yo, like, this is the deal. Like, this is the contract. So I had to make a decision because the Chicago Bulls was watching me as well. So the Bulls was like, yo, after the season, we want to bring you in for the summer. They was going to pay for the summer, this and that. And it was like, fuck, do I want to like go for like the NBA to be home, like a dream? You know what I'm saying? Like, do I want to do that? Or do I want to stay here and get money and be in Madrid? And it was a lockout, like the year 2011. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just go to Madrid. You know what I'm saying? And it was a good money. I'm like, it was hard, man, because Madrid put the pressure on me. Because I signed like in February, March. You know what I'm saying? I signed before the season end. I wanted to wait till the season end to then
way out.
You know what I'm saying? Because Chicago was really like trying, they was pushing. But I couldn't turn down that money, man. I couldn't turn down like the money that was right in front of me. And then that happened after that. And then I go to Madrid. So crazy thing. So when I signed for Madrid that summer, Madrid, they got me, they were like, yo, we want you to come earlier. You know what I'm saying? We want you here in Madrid early. We want you working out and shit. So I had to go to Madrid like a week and a half before for the team get there. So I get to Madrid, and I'm working out with the trainer, you know, like we doing like me and Nico Mirotic, you know, we doing like some band work and everything. And I was just like, damn, you know what I'm saying, how they treat you, you know what I'm saying? Like, whoa, like what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? It was like the NBA, like a whole nother ball game. And then when training camp started, I knew I was in trouble. I knew I was in trouble because Sergio Rodriguez that came back. He wasn't supposed to. They didn't expect him to come back. So when I get to training camp, it's 3 point guards, 2 national team superstars, and then it was me. So already I'm like, fuck, what I'm going to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going to happen? And I always say, like, Pablo, I love Pablo, and Pablo honestly gave all of us our fair chance to be the lead guard, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it was just Sergio already had his spot. You know, Sergio Yul.
Yeah.
But at the time, he was more of a 2 than 1.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Sergio Rodriguez didn't play good on his way back to the NBA, on his way back to Europe from the NBA.
Yeah.
So he had 2 bad years. But then he picked it up in the Barcelona finals, they said. So it's all 3 of us. And our first tournament in Malaga. So at the end of the day, all 2 of us was gonna have to be on the court at the same time, regardless. So, but Sergio Chacho Rodriguez, he was so like ball dominant, and he knew how to make plays. So as soon as the ball come out the rim, Chacho like this. Before I even go back to get the ball, as soon as that ball off the rim, Chacho coming to get it. and he making plays. So I'm kind of like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, damn. And I knew that. And Chacho played really well. Like he was killing. So I couldn't take nothing. I couldn't take nothing from him. So going into the season, I knew something was different. And I remember we going to the Kings Cup. We going into the not the Kings Cup, the Super Cup. I'm hyped. Like the first real tournament against Zaragoza, first game, I played like 7 minutes. So I'm on the bench like hot. You know what I'm saying? I'm like hot. And then me and Marcus came in together. So Marcus playing. You know what I'm saying? Marcus playing, running, dunking. So I'm on the bench hot. Because I came in as like a good signing, you know what I'm saying? Like supposed to play. Next game, we playing Barcelona in the finals. I don't touch the court. Like, I don't get in the game. So we winning and everything, everybody celebrating. Like, you could go back and look on the picture, you can see my face is like, you know what I'm saying? I'm happy that we won, but I still can't. Like, I'm just coming off, like, MVP season, having the ball, like, you know what I'm saying? And then we get in the locker room, and I'm still like, everybody celebrating, and I'm just like, what the fuck did I get myself into? So we walk, get changed. I'm the first one to get dressed, changed, and I'm out of there. Like, Pablo came and like grabbed me on my shoulder, took me in the room, and he was like, you know, I know it's tough times right now. He was like, but the way the game is going, I just went with my guys to win. He was like, you should be upset. He was like, now you're on a winning ball club. You know what I'm saying? Like, now you're on a winning ball club. So I understood what he was saying, but at the end of the day, I'm like, man, fuck that. So I get on the bus. I call my agent, like, yo, like, nigga, I ain't getting the game.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't getting the game. He was like, no, we're going to talk about it, boom, boom, boom. So we get back to Madrid. We get lit. We go out and party. So I had fun outside of that, celebrating, but then in the court, I was still like mentally like messed up. And then as the season went on, we start EuroLeague. So we still like playing spot minutes. So me, Sergio, at the beginning of the season, me, Sergio, you, the two Sergios, we all playing like spot minutes depending on the game. All players are mad. You get mad. You was mad. Chacho get mad, and I was mad because we all wanted to play. Right. So you'll play. You'll start. Chacho will come in like 5 minutes in. Sergio will be mad. Like, what the fuck? Like, it was crazy. All three of us was crazy because we couldn't play all the minutes. So EuroLeague start, and we playing Panathinaikos at home, and I'm sitting on the bench like it's lit in the gym. Like you know, Madrid fans, they ain't crazy the whole game. They like watch the game, they go into the game. But when it's like something going on, like a Barcelona or a big EuroLeague game, they go nuts. So we play Panathinaikos, and they like big, like deep on us, like bullying us, like. And I'm sitting on the bench like, come on, man. First quarter go by, don't get in. Second quarter don't get in. Then the third quarter, like 2 minutes in, we getting punished. I'm like, I'm sitting on the bench like hot now. The coach was like, D, called me. Like, I never been so more excited to play basketball in my life. So I run to the table. So I'm like, I'm ready to play. So when I got in the game, my natural instincts was to be the player who I was before I learned how to score and do all this. My ego was already gone because I didn't play that much. So when I got in that game, I had 5 steals, like in like 7 minute stretch. 5 steals, 1 block. And we was down by 8 when I came in. I think we was up 10 maybe. It's on YouTube. It was a crazy stretch. And ever since then, that's when I started playing only the third quarter.
Third quarters, that's it.
So it started from that game. And And that year was so hard for me, but also I was also having fun off the court. Not just partying, but I was also going to restaurants. In Madrid, they treat you crazy. So I was living a life. I was living a great lifestyle, but on the basketball side, I was kind of like half and half because I wanted to play more and I wanted to do more, but I couldn't. So I used to have to take that on the chin and do what was best for the team. So the lifestyle was amazing, but basketball-wise, it was
I remember we had that conversation like when you end up leaving, because you was like talking about it. You were saying like, you know, and now the question I have for you, like everybody already knows, you know, that the situation, like you said, you went to FS, you went to Loco, but you looking back on that, like, do you wish you would have stayed and wrote it out? Because you eventually signed back. I mean, put the money aside, but like, do you think you went back in 2016? Do you think that that you would have stayed?
You know, I still think about this to this day. I think if I had to go back on it, you know, they say you never regret nothing. I look back at it, I would have stayed.
Mm-hmm.
I would have stayed. But by me going to Istanbul, I also met a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Like throughout the way, off the court, that helped me to how I travel to this day. Like when I go to Monaco, I get invited to go to Monaco to do all that yacht shit. It's through the people that I met in Turkey. But also they was big Real Madrid supporters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if I had to do it again, I would stay in Madrid, man. And the only reason that was the hardest decision, because when I signed in Madrid, it was on a really like really great contract. I mean, it's what I deserved at that moment, you know, where I was. And then I knew they weren't going to pick up my third year because it was a lot for a player that only played 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But they wanted me to stay. So we knew that they weren't going to pick it up. So they offered a new 3-year contract. And what I know to this day is it's still a fucking great contract. But at that time, like, I was going off for like Marcus. So I was there with Marcus Slaughter and Tremel Darden.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know, like, when I'm in Madrid, I'm thinking, how I'm going to say this? I'm thinking everybody making around the same type money. You know, it's not really, you don't know how much somebody make. So I'm thinking all of us is there making around the same money. So I remember when they was giving out extensions and we in the weight room and Marcus was like, yo, they just gave me my extension. And he was like super happy. Like they raised my price, they raised my number. And Tremel was like, they ain't give him his, but they already gave me mine, but my shit wasn't no goddamn a raise. It was a decrease in money. But I didn't know how much Marcus Slaughter was making. So I'm in back of my mind, I'm thinking, damn, they're gonna take care of him and they're gonna lower my. But my shit was a big difference than Marcus, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't know that. So it was the hardest decision ever, man. And they gave me extra time. I had to make a decision. I talked to my mother, I talked to Melo, everybody, because the lifestyle in Madrid, it's nothing like it. Mm-hmm. But I also wanted to play. So they gave me the 3-year extension, and I told them, you know, like, can you give me like a week to make a decision? Like, I don't know. And they was like, yeah, they understood how I felt. They didn't want me to leave because they knew I was important. So I sat back and I thought about it, and then I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and go to Ephes for more money, for a little bit more money, and play more. But I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But if I would have known, like, around how much Marcus or Tremel was making, I would have stayed 100%. Mm-hmm. I would have stayed for sure 100. I would have sent it right there, and it was nice money, like a lot of money. But at that time, I thought I could get the money that I signed for when I was a free agent, and I can play more. Yeah. So it was a really tough decision. And it was tough, man.
I can imagine. No, like I said, we had that conversation, and I remember you talked to me about it. I remember you was kind of going back and forth. But I mean, hey, man, everything happened for a reason, though. So
for a reason, for sure.
Ended up working out for you. Like you said, you got connects, all different type of places, and ended up working out at the end of the day. Right. So
Madrid is I can explain to you, but like until you there and see how that shit is, it's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Like you got your own plane, like crazy plane, not just a normal. You got your own private plane, like. Go to the soccer matches, you got your own suite, and then when I came back in 2016, if you can see what they got now, it's unbelievable.
Bro,
like
we practiced there this year. They practice facility. Yeah, we practiced there this year. They practice facility is like I've never seen nothing. It's like a whole complex. Like it's way better than NBA. You can get anything, everything you want.
And then we have our own hotel suite in that one building where we eat lunch. That's where we conversate with like the soccer players. Everything is shared. So it's like, man, that lifestyle, you either got to take the lifestyle and deal with your basketball shit, or you go play. And then my whole thing was like Madrid, it wasn't like a grind. Like I speak to a lot of overseas, like Kyle and all my guys, they were like, yo, this is a grind. Madrid, hell, it wasn't a grind. It was like you happy. You wake up happy. You live a regular life. You practice once a day. Like, you actually live a regular life. And then when I got to Turkey, man, whew, that changed. That made me hate basketball.
Yeah.
I hated it. Behind that, why was that?
It's because, like, I go from all this stuff, and Ephesus is a great club. They pay you on time. We got our own practice facility. It was just, we was practicing so much, my nigga. Like, every day, twice a day. No less than 2.5 hours. Hour film session. Like, it was crazy. Like, we ain't have a day off. Like, we went, like, 3 months straight without, like, a day off. And me and the coach, and the craziest thing about it, me and the coach was like this. That was my guy. That was my guy. He had his ways, and then there was the assistant coach Von Gallis. It was too hard on me, man. That was the year that I ain't go out. I ain't really had that much fun. Like, it was tough. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't get a chance to really enjoy Istanbul like I wanted to. It happened at the end because we got Thomas Hurtel, and that was like, thank God, because he got back, and I got the rest like at the end of the season in the Turkish league, because you only could play like a certain amount of foreigners. So I was only playing once a week, and that was the best. And that's when I got to it.
Talk about kind of fast forward a little bit. Like you said, you went back to, you had this situation with Loco. You went back to Madrid, and then I didn't even know you played at in Sevilla until like I found out.
Yeah.
It was like a low key stint. I was like, bro, you back now? But talk about like your decision to retire and your decision like to kind of wrap it. Like, when did you kind of know that like that is it? Like, all of us kind of go through it, and I'm kind of going through it. Reaching that point right now. So when did you kind of know like you was that I'm done?
So when I was in Istanbul, that kind of was like, I was like, I don't know how much longer I got left, because my body, again, I don't lift weights and not like that. So I knew that my body started to break down. I started to get calf cramps and everything. But then when I got to Russia, I knew Malcolm was going to be there. So I knew he was going to have a big year. Like, I already knew this. So I'm like, if I go there, play behind him, I can extend. I can maybe get another good contract or something like that. But I knew I only had a couple more years left. So, and I turned down Panathinaikos before I went to Loco, because I knew in Panathinaikos I wasn't that player anymore with all the fans and everything, because there's a pressure that comes with that.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't that player that they probably wanted. I have some good games like in Ephesus, but I was still had that Real Madrid point guard mentality. I wasn't like the Draper in 2010, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to find the right place that I can be a mixture of both. So when I went to Loco, I had a vision like, yo, I think we can do something special. We went to the Final Four, and I was like, I always say when you win, certain shit opens up. And then Real Madrid came back, and I had another offer from, I forgot who it was, I think it was Milan. I went back to Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to Madrid after like the second week, I was like, fuck, this might be my last year. Because I didn't have the feeling no more. I didn't even care if I didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Madrid, somebody had to sit every game.
Yeah.
So Pablo will come to you, and I used to be like, some games I used to be like, don't call me. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't really care no more. So I knew that it was it. You know what I'm saying? I stopped working on my game. I just knew that it was it. So after the Madrid year, after that year, I was like, okay, I'm not going back to Europe unless I get like a cool coach or a EuroLeague team that's going to let me be like a backup player. You know what I'm saying? That type of player. And if not that, then I ain't going back to Europe till after Thanksgiving. You know, that I already had it in my plan because I wanted to do a lot of stuff. And I wanted to see how I feel to be retired. You know what I'm saying? So once that started happening, like once the season was over, I was everywhere that summer. You know what I'm saying? I was doing my thing. And then I wasn't missing it. You know, so it got to like August, September, I was turning down deals left and right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like turning down deals. But it wasn't not like crazy. It was like once you leave like the higher, it was like all those middle teams that was coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So I put them down. And I didn't really miss it. But then like late September, I started to get the itch. You know, I'm like, I want to play. And that's what I wanted to feel to see if I still wanted to play. So I start working out like in patches. Like I go to New York, work out with Bricky for like 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just forget about basketball again for like 5 days. Then I had to go back and prepare. So around November came, teams had stopped calling, so I got worried. So before that, it was like 2 teams per week. Like, okay, this is the deal. I'm like, no. Then in like November came, and shit was like drying down. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready because I was like, okay, the money because you realize like you ain't got no money coming in really.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, fuck, you start to think about it. And then St. Petersburg called. St. Petersburg called and was like, yo, we want you. We're going to get rid of the guard that they have, Argentinian kid, Lapulitova or something like that. Play for Real Madrid now. Like, yo, we're going to get rid of him. We're going to bring you in. So I'm like, cool. Send me the contract, great money. I was like, cool. But then I asked about like the traveling because I've been in Loco and I knew how that shit crazy. Right. If you ain't on plane. So then I asked about the traveling, and then I was like, oh, I can't go through this again. Mm-hmm. So I just told him to hold off. And then like a week later, Sevilla, coach was like, yo, I got a team in Spain. Sevilla, you want to go to a nice city. You know, I'm all about the city too. So I was like, nice city, back in Spain. But the money was like 2 times shorter than St. Petersburg. So I'm like, fuck it. I want to go back to Spain. So I signed, but I'm going there like my intentions to hoop and still do the same shit I usually do. So I go to Sevilla, excited and everything. Nigga, after the 3rd practice, I was like, I'm off this shit. So after the 3rd practice, after the 3rd or 4th practice, like my hips my hip was hurting, everything was hurting, bro. Like everything was hurting. So we played like a few games, and they was 0-10 when I got there. Like it was like 0-10. But I wasn't even really tripping on the basketball. I just wanted to play. So we started playing better, you know what I'm saying? But they wanted me to score more. But we playing better. We win like a few games, and I go out. I'm going out and shit. Like not nothing crazy, but I go out. And then the first day I went out, next day I come into practice, the coach like, yo, I heard you was out last night. But he wasn't really bitching, but he just brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I stepped out. Like, what's the problem? He was like, no, just be careful because people in Sevilla, they talk a lot. So I'm like, okay, left it at that. Then one time I went to Madrid. I used to take the train to Madrid, come back. They was bitching about that. I'm like, oh, my God. Then after a while, it just was worried about too much stuff. Like, I hurt my back one time, and I couldn't play against Victoria. They was bitching about that. So I'm like, all right, listen. How about we just cut ties, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So my agent was like, all right, if that's what you want to do, we can do it. And he was like, but, we can still get some money out of it. Because I just wanted to just quit. Like, but we cut ties, and they paid me like $40,000, I think.
Can't beat that.
So they paid me they paid me like $35,000-$40,000, and it was the perfect time. So right after that, it was like February, and Donnie and my boy Donnie McGrath, he stopped playing at the same time. So he was like, yo, let's go to you want to go to London for Fashion Week? So I'm like, cool. Nigga. Right after that, I went to London Fashion Week, Milan Fashion Week. I went to the Swiss Alps, like to Crans Montana. So with that money that they gave me, I was traveling. I went to Paris Fashion Week, Milan Fashion Week, London Fashion Week, all back to back. And then that was it.
It was over.
That was over. But I knew it. Like when you get done, you'll know when it's time. And that's what I tell people to this day. Like if I like worked on my body and shit like that, and I can play in Real Madrid for another 5 years, I would do that because I would train my mind and body to do that. But if I got to go to a smaller team and have to deal with practicing 2 times a day, then worrying about you can't eat at this restaurant at 10 p.m., like all that shit, I don't have the patience or the hunger to deal with that no more. So trust me, keep playing until they kick you out, for sure. Keep playing until they kick you out. Like you're gonna know when it's your time to stop. Right. But that's why a lot of retired athletes want to come back because they don't know.
Yeah,
they think
you're not sure.
But then when you ain't making that money no more, that money don't come in, and you bored, then what you gonna do?
Yeah, you probably gonna end up hooping anywhere, doing something anyway. So you like might as well
CBT, bro. You on rock? We always got spot.
So that's why I tell people to this day. Like a lot of people like, yo, I think I want to retire, and I tell them like, yo, Malcolm, Tyrese, I'm like, trust me. You better play until they kick you out if you're in a good situation. Like if you're in a good situation and you still love to hoop, play. You know what I'm saying? But all my shit comes back to like my childhood at the end of the day. Like I wasn't really like love basketball. I love it, but I wasn't like had a dream to like go in the NBA. So that's why like I knew when it was enough.
Oh, talk about like what you've been doing now. For the people that don't know, like I said, I know a little bit. Like you had the club in Madrid, which you basically turned, which is like super smart. I tell you all the time, you basically turn your lifestyle into a business. So, talk about, the club, and then also talk, about the global key travel app, and, some of the other things that you're doing.
Well, so like when I got back to Madrid in 2016, they was doing like an influencer like thing, like a technology integration. I had invested in it.
Mm-hmm.
So they was putting me on all this different technology and everything. So I was posting some of that shit on my story when I was in Madrid. And one guy from Madrid, he owns a concierge company. And this story is about how I came up with the global key. So he called me and was like, yo, let's have a meeting. I like what you're doing. So he was like, we had a meeting, and he was like, do you want to be a part of you want to go in business with me of my concierge company? Because at that time, I'm like, fuck it, I do it for free anyway. Like anytime someone come in Europe or anywhere, somehow someone get my number and I help them out. So I'm like, cool. So us two, we're going in business together for like the first month and a half. And then I start to learn like different shit, like, damn, this is it. I can do this shit myself. You know what I'm saying? I can start my own business. So I was like, after a while, after like 2 months in, I realized like the guy that I was partnership with, he was good at serving people. Like he was amazing at like concierge, like getting people to this place or talking to this people. But the thing he didn't have was like the style, the swag, the contact. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to let you do your thing and I can do my own thing. But I didn't want to do a full-on concierge because I didn't want to be responsible for walking somebody's dog or doing the laundry. Yeah. So I kind of like branched off, and I told him I didn't want to like be a part of the company no more. But he was cool. I'm like, I'm still going to use you because if I got like big clients, it's going to go through me and then you could take care of it. So that year I just was like, I used to play FIFA every day, and I used to listen to like different like YouTube interviews. Mm-hmm. So I used to like Damon Dash all the time. Like I always listen to Dame Dash, all his talks about like business and everything. And then one day it like trickled over to all this other like different like podcasts about like business, about mental stuff. So I'm like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? So I started to learn more by playing FIFA and learn about like life in general, about like other business entrepreneurs. And that got me on my grind about the global key. So I knew I didn't want to do a full-on concierge company. I wanted to do an app because I felt as though at that time, everybody's going to move towards apps. Mm-hmm. So I started doing research about like all different other companies and this and that. And I just wanted to talk about the things that I love: restaurants, travel, and nightlife. So I found 2 other companies that were similar, and I kind of like got the idea and I put my own shit, my own brand to it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's global key is like when people in Europe, now everyone's starting to go to Europe and they don't know where to go. Somehow they're going to get my contact and I can connect them with such and such. Yeah. So that's how I came up with the global key. And I came up with the name, just was like, shit, a lot of times I do, like in Madrid, I got the keys to the city. Yeah. Like if someone come to Madrid, I can get them in anywhere. Or if someone go to New York, I know the right people. Like all over the world, I know somebody that knows somebody that gets something done.
Shit, so Miami. You look this out of Miami. Yeah.
Exactly. I know someone to get shit done everywhere. So that's how I was global key. And I'm still working on that, like getting to where I need to be. But it's cool. It's fun. It's like my hobby. Mm-hmm. And then the nightclub happened. I didn't fail on that business, but I know how hospitality business work. Like as now, like you see now, everybody's up that's in hospitality. Mm-hmm. But how hospitality work. You know what I'm saying? Now, I wish I would have been more hands-on because me and my partner with 2 different egos, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's more like, this is my nightclub. You know, like one of those guys, like, I'm the boss, you know what I'm saying? I'm totally opposite. And that kind of cost us. saying? Like, he was too pushy, too rude. And the two main guys that was running our club, he quit. They quit. And what happens when someone like that quit? They take their clients. And that's the hospitality in general. So when they take their clients, we went 1 month in like 2017, 18, we was killing it. Like the line used to be long around the club. Everybody wanted to get in there. But just like that, it changed. When those two guys not happy, they left. So they left, and when they leave, they took their clients. So now, and I'm not knowing about this because I'm not really paying attention. I'm paying attention, but not like deeply paying attention because I'm letting him do his thing because he's been in hospitality. So when I found out about it, I'm like, yo, like, what we doing? Make a long story short, they left, took their clients, and then after that, trickle effect.
Mm-hmm. One person from there and there.
And we had to close. You know what I'm saying? We had to sell, close. But I learned a lot because I want to be in hospitality. So I learned a lot about dealing in that business. You know what I'm saying? And I'm happy because I'm going to open something up for myself in the near future.
Yeah, so you got to go back, though. I know you got a funny story with you and Melo, man. We definitely got to hear about that.
Hold on. My phone about to die, man. My bad. Let me get
it. Go.
Yeah, man, I can't even picture one story, man. There's so many.
Or a favorite moment, anything.
I think one of the cool moments was the draft. You know, like when he got drafted, we was all up in New York and shit. And Melo from another part. I mean, Melo not from the same neighborhood, so he got all his homeboys up there. And I just remember, like, we up in the draft and at his party, we're going to different parties and shit. And at that time, Melo homeboys was very, like, protective of him, like, super protective. And we in New York, we had his after party. And Melo got older brothers because Melo was born in New York. So he got his older brothers and them from New York. So we're in the club. They all getting into it, but we all together. But nobody know that because they from Baltimore and they from New York. And it was a whole big thing outside the club, and everybody end up, like breaking it down. But it's so many different stories when it comes to Melo. I'm trying to think of one.
I want to ask you a question about seeing him this past year get back on the court and get back in Portland. Like, knowing him and knowing his struggle and everything. Like, what did that moment kind of mean for you? And
man, it was amazing because as I stopped working out and shit, I used to always go in the gym and watch him, because they still be playing in New York, and he still got it. You know what I'm saying? I was in Houston when all that shit happened. So that was like the first time that we actually like talked. Like when all that stuff happened, I was in Houston. I went to his crib. He in there. He was down, man. You know what I'm saying? He was down. And we finally like talked, as like brothers. A lot of times people hold a lot of stuff back. And that was the second time I think we like really like talked. You know what I'm saying? I gave him my insight on, like how I feel about the situation. You know what I'm saying? That was the first time like we actually like talked, because I was always away for 11 years. You know what I'm saying? So we never got a chance to like really like talk personal about hoop. And he was like, he didn't understand it. You know what I'm saying? And then fast forwarded to the summer when he still wasn't signed, but he was still working out every day. Still working out every day, still everything. So a week before the news came out, I'm staying at his house in LA because my house was getting some renovations. So I'm staying at his crib in LA. He was like, yo, I'm coming out. He had a few business meetings for his new company. And he came out, we went to dinner, drinking wine, and I was just asking him, like, yo, what's new as far as signing? He was like, shit, nothing. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's saying the same shit. So, y'all hear that knocking?
Yeah, it's straight. It's straight, though.
Straight?
Yeah, you good.
Yeah, it's straight. We'll get out.
So he was like, everybody's saying the same shit. You know, we want you to bring you in, this and that. And the knock was about his role. You know what I'm saying? Like, people was afraid that he want to bring attention regardless. You know, like if they play Melo 10 minutes, oh, how you feel about only playing 10 minutes? Or if you play 30 minutes, why you play him this much? You know what I'm saying? So every team was worried about that. So he was just like, man, I'm just tired of it. He's like, I'm tired of this shit. Like, if a team sign me, they're going to sign me. And he was like, he didn't work out for like a week because he was just like focusing on his other businesses. So literally like 2 days later, Portland called at the least expected moment. You know, like they called him like, yo, like, we want to bring you in. And I was like, damn, that's crazy how shit worked. You know what I'm saying? Like the time
just when you think.
when you don't think it. But it was tough, man, because he ain't never been in that type of situation before either. You know what I'm saying? So, and like stuff that was going on with other things in his life, you know, it was kind of like a refreshing moment for him. He got to kind of step back, look himself in the mirror, and get right with himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was powerful how everything happened. You know, with him, his wife, his family, his son, how all that played out. It like brought strength to him.
Oh man, well,
Because
I appreciate you, bro.
He was still hooping. You know, like in New York, he was still busting everybody's ass, but it was just like the politics of it.
Hoodie Mellow.
Sure.
Man, but I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you taking the time, man. Like you said, we done talked almost 2 hours and a half, man, and we can go on for another. We could probably go on for another 2 hours. So, man, I appreciate you. Now, I mean, taking the time, and we definitely gotta do this again and talk about the stuff that we missed. But I appreciate you, bro. I mean, like I said, I mean, I have the utmost respect for you. You know what I mean? Not only as a hooper, just as a person. You always been like one of the dudes that always kept it 100 no matter what, and always been real no matter, you know what I mean? We don't talk for 5 months or 6 months. You know what I mean? Anytime we still talk and connect, it's still like, you know, like day one. So, like I said, man, I appreciate you always looking out, not only for me, for my family, for my brothers, for my people. So we appreciate it, bro.
No, I appreciate you, man. And Kyle, you always one of the guys that was like the most humblest player ever. Player ever. You know what I'm saying? You go out there and do your job. I remember the talks we had when you was at Olympiacos. You was like, you know what I'm saying? Like you didn't know which way to go, but man, you're gonna be successful whatever you do, man. You got a good heart, champ.
Appreciate it, bro.
Y'all be cool. I appreciate y'all, man.
All right, too, man. Stay safe,
bro.
All right, bro.
Yeah.